On behalf of my family, I'd like to thank everyone for coming here today. It's so lovely to connect with so many friends and family to celebrate Mom's life. You may know her as Pat, Aunt Patsy, Mrs. Spillane, Jim's better half, as Mom, or her most endearing name, Maka. Mom's parents came from Ireland with nothing. Delia McLaughlin from County Mayo and Owen Dolan from Cavan. They had 6 children: Noni, Kathleen, May, Eugene, Lily, and the baby, Patsy Ann. She was named by her siblings after the Patsy Ann doll. She was born in Pelham Bay in the Bronx and moved to Yorkville when she was 6. As a family, they had their fair share of hardships, but Delia Dolan filled their flat with love and saw no reason to complain when they were 3 in a bed or when Mom was a latchkey kid well before the term was coined. Arriving home before her mom finished cleaning houses and her dad from driving a bus, the Dolan home was always open to everyone for a good chat, a cup of tea, and homemade Irish bread. Mom was gorgeous, inside and out, stylish, just like her sisters, so naturally Dad fell hard for her when they met working at Texaco. When he returned from his Navy tour on the Midway, he worked as a New York City police officer and asked her on a date. She was not impressed. First, he was from Brooklyn. Second, he flashed his badge to get a free subway ride. But the man persisted. When Mom was 20, she lost her sister Noni to cancer, a loss made even more heartbreaking when Nick and Noni's daughter Eileen was removed from the home as the adoption wasn't finalized. She was so proud of her brother Eugene as he dealt with polio and later became a priest. Due to his medical condition, he was sent to a parish in New Mexico and was later diagnosed with melanoma and died when Mom was 37. Leonard Cohen says, "There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in." I think for Mom, with each heartbreak she had, the cracks let more love in. She learned to embrace loss and grief. Grief teaches us what we love. Death teaches us how to live. She never turned away from suffering, her own, that of loved ones, or even strangers. She understood that everything we love, we will lose, and she lost a lot. Loved ones, strength, mobility, hearing, which was a frustrating and expensive challenge, and through her illness, slowly lost lung, heart, and kidney function. Unlike Dad, who presumed you were guilty until proven innocent, she always gave people the benefit of the doubt. The same situation that had Dad calling Pete Meaden for a background check had Mom in the driveway acting as a social worker, listening non-judgmentally. Let's face it, the woman was a saint. She tolerated Dad for 58 years, sleeping to the melodic background noise of a police and fire scanner, and having Dad hijack every conversation towards the FDNY. It was hard being friends with a Spillane kid. Calling the house required an Inquisition screen from Dad, or you might get rounded up into some yard work. You knew there would be a safe haven from JB or Harvey Farquhar when Mrs. Spillane was home. Fortunately, Mom balanced things out with Dad. She always encouraged us to prioritize our friendships. She loved our friends and was a second mom to many. She really knew how to listen, and she asked a lot of questions, like a lot of questions. And she rolled with the punches. When the used cars died while driving to Holy Trinity or Our Lady of Mercy, or when the doors flew open, she'd just have the kid get back in. When, as a toddler, Jimmy escaped while everyone was sleeping to have breakfast down the street at the Barrens. When the whole family left for church for Tricia and Richard's wedding, and somehow we forgot Mom, she hitched a ride with the photographer. She visited Ireland 3 times, but never got to Mayo or Cavan because my father didn't see any reason to go beyond Kerry, where his family was. With all her quirks and all her fears, she was brave when it came to the important stuff. Her deep faith in God and her lifelong practice of gratitude is to be credited. She supported my dad through his dying process as Monsignor Dooley delivered last rites to my dad in his bedroom. And as he passed, she sat with his body and said a novena. Most people avoid preparing for death because it's uncomfortable. Not Mom. She talked about it all the time. She was quite clear that when she was ready, when God called, and she kept wondering what was taking so long. She courageously had the hard conversations about her wishes not to extend her life and made sure her children and her physicians were aware, and the legal documents reflected that. Even in death, Mom was generous because the clarity of her wishes and willingness to discuss them allows us this peace in her passing. She left absolutely no doubt in our mind that she was done. We could honor those wishes, and that, quite honestly, is a priceless gift many people don't grant. She loved the beach as a kid in Pelham Bay, vacations in Montauk. Oh, I missed a page, didn't I? So we're gonna just edit that here, because there's some good juice in here. She lived as long as she did and as well as she did because of the persistent effort and sacrifices of my siblings, especially John. And as Mom would have it, each hospital discharge brought a list of names of aides, nurses, and doctors that she wrote thank you cards to, and often required a visit back to the hospital to deliver the gifts. She had a million quirks and a million fears. She was afraid of animals, especially cats. One morning, we woke to Mom's terrifying scream as if there was a home invasion, only to discover the little cat next door was in the house. If there was an insect, an ant, or an earwig, it would find her. No one else in the house would see it, but she demanded an exterminator visit the house. While other kids had pets, she had us trained at the first sight of slug to get the salt. She liked her coffee very strong, very hot, and black, her water ice cold. She talked of John and Jimmy, and she would say, my son, my son. Her purse contained 10 floral bags, a compartment bag for each accessory. She found bizarre uses for paper towels, rubber bands, and Ziploc bags. She was an avid reader and a competitive Scrabble player, often accusing her grandchildren of cheating. And then she'd gloat when she won, saying, 86, I still got it. While we were growing up, she was never without a cigarette or a Coke, and she revolted when they changed the recipe to New Coke, warranting a letter to the company. Hypnosis in the 90s set her free from cigarettes and Coke. She got on board with technology and sent the best texts, replacing every word with emojis you never knew existed. Her passwords were ridiculous and of the highest cybersecurity, and she never passed a baby carriage without talking to the mom. While she might forget to mention an important detail of an immediate family member, she would tell us about Mrs. McGuire or Mrs. O'Reilly's next-door neighbor's uncle's sister's accident, and she demanded we listen to her when we wanted nothing to do with it. She had a heart of gold and could hold everything, and people knew that, saw her compassionate support. She had a gift of making everyone around her feel important and cherished. She was generous in every way, but especially with her love. And you here in the church are the beneficiaries of that love. And many of you have a handwritten card to prove it. And the Spillane family asks that you prepare for a sharp decline in the volume of cards mailed from Maple Avenue, as it's likely to shrink significantly. And just two weeks before her body started to fail, Mom, Lily, and I had one last visit at the beach. She celebrated her 86th birthday with all 5 of her kids, Dad's family, and had visits from friends. Mom said many novenas for Katie for her long-awaited nurse practitioner exam, and she was delighted when Katie shared the good news that she passed her exam just the day before Mom died. And her heart beamed with joy when her granddaughter Delia FaceTimed on Mom's birthday that she got engaged. Let's face it, her work was complete. Her heart was full with both love and fluid, and she was done. Her last day of life, she made it very clear that she was done. We all know that she's on the fast track up to heaven. That's without question. The real mystery is the crowd control at St. Peter's Gate. I envision a lot of bossy, strong women like Kathleen, her sisters Kathleen, May, and Lily, with Nora Cox and Dolly McGuire, elbowing Dad to get to the front of the welcome line. And he will wait as long as he needs to be reunited with his sweetheart. Thank you.
Okay.